Hello everyone, this is Carmen and welcome back to my channel and to another Cantonese grammar video lesson. I've already talked about making comparisons using guo, di, zhong and gang-ga. In today's video, I'm going to finish off this comparison series with jau5, mou5-gam3 and begal. Jau5 is used to indicate that something has a quality to the same degree as another. In English, it's equivalent to comparing two things that are alike using the as structure. Let's break down what each component means. Jau means to have or has. It is used to denote possession, existence, or the presence of something. On the other hand, gum translates to something like so fast, and like this or like that. It is often used as a degree adverb to describe the manner, degree, or extent of an action or quality. Together in the phrase jau5, they function to establish comparisons, particularly in the sense of as when discussing qualities or conditions in comparative contexts. It can also be used with do or xiu to discuss something or someone possessing as many things or as little things as another. This is the structure of forming sentences using jau5. You put your noun, and you put jau, and then the second noun, and then gum, and then the adjective comes after. So it means something like this in English. Let's look at some example sentences to give you some context. 佢有我咁高. He is as tall as me. 佢 is a pronoun, also the noun one, that can mean either he, she, or it. 我 is a personal pronoun, noun two, meaning I. 高 is an adjective and it means tall. 佢有獵豹咁快. He is as fast as a cheetah. Once again, 佢 means he or she, this is noun one. 獵豹 is noun two and means cheetah. 快 is an adjective meaning fast. 今日有尋日咁凍. Today is as cold as yesterday. 今日 is noun one, which means today. 尋日 is noun two, meaning yesterday. 凍 is the adjective meaning cold. 呢套戲有嗰套咁好睇. This film is as good as that one. 呢套 altogether means this, with 套 being the measure word for 戲, which means film. This is noun one. 嗰套 means that one, as you can see. I have omitted the second noun as it is obvious what the noun is based on context and the usage of the measure word 套. I explained this in my previous video, which I will include a link to. So therefore, altogether, 嗰套 acts as noun two. 好睇 means good, but this word specifically refers to anything you can watch or read being good. This includes anything from movies to YouTube shorts to books. This is because of the usage of 睇, which generally means to read or to watch. 呢笪地方有嗰笪咁乾淨. This place is as clean as that one. 呢笪地方 means this place. That is a measure word for the word place. 嗰笪 means that one, with the measure word that making it clear that we are still referring to a place. 乾淨 means clean and hygienic. 佢有蜘蛛咁多隻腳. He has as many legs as a spider. 佢 means he or she. 蜘蛛 means spider. 多 is the adjective here, meaning many or much. Using 多 as the adjective here opens this type of sentence up to compare the quantity of one thing's possessions in comparison with another. This is used to indicate someone literally possessing more of something than another. All you need to do is put another noun after do. This uses jau literally to mean have. And now here, bei2-gaau3 means legs, with bei being the measure word for the word leg. 佢有阿朗咁少嘢. He has as less stuff as along. 佢 means he or she. Along is just the name of a person, which acts as noun 2 here. Likewise, you can say someone has less of something than another by using 少 as an adjective, meaning less or little. This also uses jau literally to mean to have. Finally, ye is noun 3, meaning thing or things. mou5-gam3 is used to express that something does not have a quality to the same degree as another. It is the opposite to jau5. Therefore, mou5-gam3 can be translated to not as in English. Let's break down each part. Mou means not have or does not have. It is used to denote the absence or non-existence of something. And again, gum means so or like this. It is used as a comparative or descriptive adverb to express the manner, degree, or condition of an action or attribute. When used together in the phrase mou5-gam3, it forms a structure for negative comparisons, similar to not as in English, used to describe something as not having a quality or characteristic to the same extent as another. The structure is the same as when using jau5, except you replace jau with mou. So you put your first noun, and then mou, your second noun, and then gum, and then your adjective. In English, it means something like this. Let's look at examples. 佢冇我咁高. He is not as tall as me. Once again, 佢 is a pronoun, also the noun 1, that can mean either he, she, or it. 我 is a personal pronoun, noun 2, meaning I. 高 is an adjective and it means tall. 佢冇獵豹咁快. He is not as fast as a cheetah. Once again, 佢 means he or she. 獵豹 is noun 2 and means cheetah. 快 is an adjective meaning fast. Today is not as cold as yesterday. 今日 noun 1 means today. 尋日 noun 2 means yesterday. 凍 is the adjective meaning cold. 呢套戲冇嗰套咁好睇. This film is not as good as that one. Again, 呢套 altogether means this, with 套 being the measure word for 戲, which means film. This is noun 1. 嗰套 means that one. And 好睇 means good, specifically referring to anything you can watch or read. 呢笪地方冇嗰笪咁乾淨. This place is not as clean as that one. Again, 呢笪地方 means this place, 嗰笪 means that one, and 乾淨 means clean or hygienic. 佢冇蜘蛛咁多隻腳. He does not have as many legs as a spider. 佢 means he or she, 蜘蛛 means spider, 多 is the adjective meaning many, much, and 隻腳 means legs, with 隻 being the measure word. 佢冇阿朗咁少嘢. He does not have as less stuff as along. 佢 means he or she. Along, the name of the person. 少 is the adjective meaning less or little. Ye is noun 3 meaning things. In Cantonese, begal is used to express a straightforward comparison between two elements, similar to the English comparatively or relatively. It can be used to describe something as being more or less of a certain quality compared to another thing. It can modify a verb or an adjective to indicate a comparative degree. It is therefore a versatile term often used in both spoken and written Cantonese to highlight differences in quality, quantity, or intensity. Incorporating bei2-gaau3 into a sentence uses a slightly different structure to the previous two we've looked at so far. We only need to use one noun as opposed to two. This makes it seem like an elliptical comparison, as I explained in my previous video, but it isn't considered such because it does not involve deliberately omitting information. Using bei2-gaau3 can also indicate a more general comparison, not necessarily a comparison between two or more items. Let's look at some examples. 佢比較高. He is relatively tall or taller. On its own, this can mean that he is considered tall compared to others his age, in a general sense. It does not necessarily point to a specific person whom he is taller than. As you can see, 比較高 means taller in comparison. It can modify a verb or an adjective to indicate a comparative degree. Liệp炮比較快. Cheetahs are relatively faster. 今日比較凍. Today is relatively cold or colder. 呢套戲比較好睇. This film is relatively good or better. 呢笪地方比較乾淨. This place is relatively clean or cleaner. 蜘蛛比較多隻腳. Spiders have relatively more legs. 阿朗比較少嘢. Along has relatively less things. You can actually use bei without the second part gao to make explicit comparisons, similar to go. The structure of comparative sentences using bei is different than when go is used. In a way, the structure is similar to when bei2-gaau3 is used, except for the fact that a second noun is now inserted between this comparative word and the adjective. Nothing too complicated. Once again, here are some examples. 佢比我高. He is taller than me. 佢比獵豹快. He is faster than a cheetah. 今日比尋日凍. Today is colder than yesterday. 呢套戲比嗰套好睇. This film is better than that one. 呢笪地方比嗰笪乾淨. This place is cleaner than that one. 佢比蜘蛛多腳. He has more legs than a spider. Notice that 隻 is no longer used here. This is because the 隻 usually points to only one leg, so including 隻 would suggest that he only has one more leg than a spider. It's equivalent to saying 多一隻腳, but we usually omit the one, 一, and only use the measure word on its own. In this example, we want to express that he has more legs in general. In that case, why do we need this measure word for the other sentences? In the previous examples, jau5, mou5-gam3, and bei2-gaau3, we are referring to each individual leg on the spider. For instance, in this example, 佢有蜘蛛咁多隻腳, it is alike to saying he has just as many individual legs as a spider. Hence, this indicates 1. You can actually omit the 隻, and you end up with this. 佢有蜘蛛咁多腳. But this conveys it more generally. We like to include the measure word when appropriate to make it even clearer what we are referring to. It's very subtle and doesn't really affect the overall meaning in this context, but there may be situations where a measure word is crucial for clarity. Moving on. 佢比阿朗少嘢. He has less stuff than 阿朗. This sentence did not have a measure word to go with 嘢, stuff, to begin with, so it is not important. But why do we not need a measure word for the word year? That is because the word year generally refers to things, plural. If we use a measure word, which is go, it means only one thing. But when making comparisons like this, you most likely want to say more than one thing in general, hence why a measure word would not be appropriate here. Therefore, the rule with whether a measure word is needed or not really comes down to context. We have similar rules in English with articles, such as when a or an or the is used, or when it should not be used. And that's a wrap. I hope this video helped you grasp comparisons better in Cantonese. I also hope you like the way I laid out my examples and that they are nice and clear. This video is not only aimed to teach you specific grammar points, but I hope you can also pick up vocabulary used in my examples. I hope you learned something new. If you did, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment for me if you have any questions. I will see you all next time. Bye!